I don't know if you remember this or not. It was just 7 short nights ago, and we were discussing a case out of Orlando, Florida, Winter Park to be specific, of a woman who played a deadly game of hide and seek by leaving her fiance in a suitcase. So we're going to delve very deep, and that's why we call this Unpacking the Suitcase case. Sarah Boone is carrying around a lot of extra baggage. Look, don't kill the messenger bag, but this is a morbid journey. So whether you interpret my musings as a bit on the hard side, or maybe you're just soft-sided, I'm just a good old American tourister. Pack a weekend bag and join us on this journey. Make sure that your resolve is Samsonite strong for this one. Hang around like your favorite garment bag and hear the tale of Sarah, who is right now in jail for the junk in her steamer trunk. I think you're all great. I love you, and you mean the world to me. All that and what it means for your weekend tonight on the Comm Center.
City council members have announced their plan to disband the Minneapolis Police Department.
We're calling for defunding the police.
Shootings in New York City have more than doubled this year.
This is the #1 podcast and platform where we entertain and inform first responders. Tonight, it's the Comm Center with Drew Parisi, with veteran detective Andrew Baxter. He's in charge of the Comm Center. I am John. I'm an active 911 dispatcher in the field. Tonight, we're going to break down this suitcase murder. Drew, those puns were all terrible. And when it's time to cut down on some overhead around here, I think we know where we're going to go to first. But it's been a fun week, kind of. I mean, except that I missed you. So how have you been?
Oh, I've been great. If you got to trim the fat, please, by all means, trim the fat off of me.
There's no time for small talk, Drew. We have to get into the case, or the people are going to be upset. Kick us off. Tell us what to do. You're in command here now, Lieutenant.
Okay, let me tell you, first of all, there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. So I feel sorry for you if you're listening as a podcast. Listening to this as a podcast. I'm very happy and proud that you're doing so. Hopefully you've left us a rating and review in exchange, but if not, the chats are on fire tonight. We've got someone called Underpaid Producer in here. His name is Elijah, and he's a very good friend of the show. He also has a show on this on C- Media that we call, what do we call that show, John? Getting a grip on things.
Getting a grip on things, yeah.
Right.
He has a big show coming up.
That was a test for you. So Getting a Grip on Things is a great podcast. You should probably go listen to that. We got Michael Hendricks here, Detzlav, which is Volstead backwards. We have Tactical here. James Russell is here. Some guy named Eric
Tansey is here. Yeah, if he says if we don't read his chats that he hates us. So hello, Eric. It's good to talk to you again.
Ben Allen is from Maine, and he tells us every time, and I want to know what the temperature is and if the leaves are changing at this moment. Abby Ellsworth from On Being a Police Officer is here. Carly and Beignet are here. We don't know who's doing the typing as usual. Felony Melanie, how about it? And everybody else that's here, thank you. Casey Anthony's defense team. We don't do a show without her, to be honest.
That's David. Yes.
I think so. Oh, him. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the last known president, who I don't see.
That's Brittany. She's here.
Yes, I know.
Faulkner.
She's always here.
She's the secretary.
She's always here
of State of the Wolfpack. Yeah.
So I told you I scolded John over text because between you and me, America, I treat him like a dog, and I told him, look, we don't have time for this silly banter stuff. We have deduced, John and I have deduced, that next week's episode is going to be so full of inside jokes that we're literally just going to do it over Zoom. It's just going to be me and him. But at any rate, I told him, let's cut the banter. Let's get right to the story, because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on my my interviews and interrogations hat. So some of you don't know, or you may know from the last week's show, for about 10 years of my career, for probably the last 10 years of my career. I taught interviews and interrogations to young budding detectives, officers who have been out in the street for a while, young supervisors. I taught a week-long course of interviews and interrogations. It covered case law. It covered deception detection techniques. I taught you how to get in front of people and build a rapport. I did my best to get everyone to get in the frame of mind of treating people with some dignity and respect, and you'll probably get more information out of them. And then I gave them a test at the end of the week, and they always passed except for one guy. And English was his second language, so he kind of doesn't count for my failing test purposes. So here's the deal. We're going to delve deep into interviews and interrogations by first covering the 911 call of the Suitcase case that I brought up in the beginning and that we talked about last week. We're going to talk, John and I, that's John's area of expertise. Then we're going to talk mutually about the body cam, because that all has relevance to the interrogation, because she says things in the body cam which are beneficial for the interviewers and the interrogators. And I want to give you a couple tips, give you a couple ideas of what the interrogators are looking for. I know that's not necessarily communication center based or dispatcher based, but you know what? Sometimes the dispatchers are interested and curious in stuff like this, and I want to give them the insight and the inclusion of the whole deal. So that's what we're going to do tonight, John, and that's why I was trying to minimize the banter, and I'm going against everything that I wanted to do. So let's get right into this. What do you say?
I'm all for it. I'm ready for that. And I just wanted to say that all areas are areas of my expertise. I have complete world knowledge. And for those of you who don't know, for about 11 years, I taught a course on an interview and interrogation that lasted 6 days.
That's one more year than me and one more day.
One more day. So, I mean, who's really the expert? I mean, I guess it's me.
He's a lot better. He's one better, usually, on everything.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Let's do it, Drew.
All right. So do you want to control your 911
yes,
call?
Yes, I'll play the call. Let's do it. And then it's up to me.
911, what is the location of your emergency? 4748 France Court, apartment 3.
4748, what's the street name?
France, F-R-A-N-T-Z.
And the apartment number?
3.
Is this a police or medical?
My boyfriend is dead.
Okay, send the line for the fire department. Do not hang up.
Very to the point.
Fire risk. That's the location, Mercy.
Desk 32.
No, please don't leave.
4748 France Lane, apartment 3.
France Court.
France Court.
Yes.
Okay, it's just near.
Just a quick observation, John. Doesn't she seem to be a little bit with it to have just tried to after just trying to revive a dead person?
Well, do we want to use a little retrospect?
Sure.
I'm gonna view this through retrospect, and I could do that only because we covered this last week. She is like this all the time. This is default her. This isn't actually her, what she sounds like when she's just discovered a dead person. You're going to find when patrol gets there and interviews her multiple times, and detectives get there when she's finally in the interrogation room, that she's always kind of high strung like this. But from the way that she sounds like, she possibly just found a body, but as we're about to find out, that is not the position that we're in at all. And we covered this last week, so I don't mind saying we're gonna go through a bout of meaningless CPR here, Drew.
Yeah, we'll probably speed through that. So and don't be alarmed when she yells, "Don't go anywhere." She's not speaking to the corpse.
Yeah, I think she's talking to her ex-husband, which is weird.
I don't know where that is.
Okay, fine, okay.
It's Tealwood Park Apartments.
Okay, 4748 France, correct?
Correct.
All right, correct. Now tell me exactly what happened there.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in his case and we were playing. And like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was dead in the suitcase, so I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Right, okay, what's your apartment number?
3?
Apartment 3?
Yes, like he has, like, blood coming out of his mouth, and I don't know if, like, he had, like, an aneurysm or what happened.
Right, okay, all right, okay. Listen, we're getting help out there, too. All right, okay. Okay,
Right now?
Okay, yeah, man, listen, we're on our way out there. You're at 407-716-8684. Okay, is he hanging from somewhere or what, ma'am?
No.
We have to drop that joke you said again last week. He could be in a garment bag. That's why he's hanging up. Drew, I didn't even get that last week until I was editing later. They're confirming the address. We mentioned it last week. There was a handoff between the initial call taker and now the fire dispatcher. The dispatcher for the police department is still on the line. She's still listening. You'll hear her in a second, where the fire department dispatcher wants to make sure she's still there, because all of the details that she's giving to fire, the police are going to want to know too, about his condition inside the suitcase. This dispatcher is handling already the weirdest call of his life. It's weirder than the F-35 thing. My boyfriend and I were playing hide and go seek, and of all places, he hid inside a suitcase, and I went to bed and left him in there. But he had an aneurysm that killed him. It was definitely some kind of medical condition. You know, it wasn't just asphyxia or, being crushed inside a suitcase. Drew.
Abby has a great question. So why was why was she transferred to fire so quickly, or why was she transferred to fire? This happens quite often. This happened in the center that I worked in. You have, as a dispatch, this is why I thought it was so important that we talked about the Seattle program with the dual dispatch and all that. You have about 5 or 10 seconds to determine if you need to get medical rolling and not. And there is a teeter-totter. There's like a fulcrum where you have to decide, look, do I just stay on the line with this person and get them to talk as much as possible about the criminal side of this, or do I at what point do I just, there's no app that goes off that tells you, hey, you better get fire rolling that way anyway. So once you hand it off to fire, they're going to take over, because they're going to start doing all their medical protocols and all that other stuff. She opted to do it pretty quickly. It sounded like a weird call that maybe, they could save a life. So she handed it off to fire pretty quickly, and she's still gathering information. She didn't hang up, which is a good thing. Sometimes in that handoff, the dispatchers hang up. Okay, go ahead, John.
I just wanted to say that the life-saving efforts are going to be number one. You're trying to prevent a murder. If you can save the guy's life, then what's happening here isn't a murder.
I pulled him out of the suitcase. I tried giving him CPR.
Okay, so he was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Okay, how old is the boyfriend, ma'am? 42-year-old male. All right. Okay, we're sending help out there. Sheriff's officer anywhere out there?
Yes,
I'm sorry?
See, he just said, sheriff's officer, he's still on the line, because he knows this is going to most likely turn into a criminal case. But he says, he kind of says, all right. He's pulling up information he needs, guidelines to help give these CPR directions. He's going to do the best he can to get her to cooperate. CPR is a difficult procedure, even if you're a trained rescuer. Telling someone how to do it over the phone is difficult. And all too many times in a dispatcher's experience, you're going to be giving CPR advice to someone who is clearly faking it, because you know what it sounds like when someone's actually trying, or they're completely unwilling to do it. But I'll go on, Drew.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Listen to me. Okay. I just need to confirm this. All right. I understand. I just need to confirm this. Is he awake at all? Is he conscious at all?
No. He's purple.
Is he breathing?
No.
All right. I need you to get him on the floor, flat on his back for me, okay?
I did. I tried giving him CPR.
All right.
I tried giving him CPR.
Yeah, okay.
But nothing happened. He's purple.
Okay, listen to me. There's a defibrillator available. I need you to get it for me, okay?
What is it?
You have an AED available?
No.
All right. Are you right by him now?
I'm sorry?
Are you right by him now?
Yes.
Okay. Lay him flat on his... Okay, ma'am, listen. Is he cold and stiff?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he's not necessarily cold, but he's stiff.
He's room temperature. And we also discussed this last week. He's kind of going to checklist mode. He wants to protect himself and his agency from any kind of individual liability or vicarious liability by not providing this life-saving instructions. He has a duty to care. Of course, we all know, those of us in the field anyway, know the signs of death. He's apneic. He's not breathing. He's cyanotic. He's got blood coming out of various holes in his head. Usually when people die, blood just sort of starts coming out. Being in a suitcase 12 hours, you could usually, like, there's guidelines for when you could say that a call is somebody's already dead, like a paramedic or an EMT or a doctor will say that, you know, when death is a predictable outcome, or there's absolutely no signs of life. Like I said, there's no breathing, there's cyanosis or whatever. He's checking all of these boxes, but the dispatcher, for want of anything else to say, Drew, do you think you should switch over to investigative mode and say, now let me get this straight. You guys were playing hide and seek and you zipped him up in the suitcase? Should he switch to investigative mode?
No, because people, like we've discussed in the past, people tend to exaggerate too. So if she's describing Grimace from the McDonald's character Grimace. He might just have a little blue tinge to him, like you know what I mean? Like she doesn't know.
He might just be blue, yeah.
Nobody knows at what she might be colorblind, for God's sake. But nobody knows at what stage she pulled this guy out of the suitcase. He might have been in there for 30 seconds. So he's just going to go through everything he needs to go through. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but I think this is a damned if you do and damned if you don't. But yeah, let's just keep it moving here.
One last thing, Drew, if I may. This is something I thought of because you know how it is. You do a show and then you think about it at 3 a.m. and you're like, I wish I had done that better. If this guy's been in a suitcase for 12 hours and let's place his time of death, at 12 hours, and he's folded up, his body is folded up inside his suitcase. I don't know if it's just because I'm 6.5 feet tall, but I can't even imagine this, like how that would work. But I imagine his knees are probably curled up in front of his chest. If he's in full rigor, how the hell are you even doing chest compressions if he's stiff and his knees are up like this? Like, you'd have to crack him in half in order to do the compressions, right?
Yeah, I would think
my way off?
He would be like a frog at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be my guess. I mean, I don't think it'd be full rigor, but I mean, like, it would definitely have set in. There'd be lividity on like the front of his shins, and depending on which side.
Yeah, we don't know the orientation. I thought the suitcase was laying on the side.
Yeah.
So yeah, the blood would be all pooled on one side of his body, which would be something you again, if you're pulling him out to do CPR, you're gonna see that lividity. So, but I don't know if she would recognize that or not. But the dispatcher, of course, has to keep going. So go on, Drew.
Okay, go.
No, sorry. I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
We're both
Okay.
doing it.
All right, listen to me. Listen to me. I want you to lay him flat on his back for me on the floor.
I did.
Removing the pillows. Okay.
Yes, I did.
All right. Okay.
He's stiff and purple.
Right. Okay. Listen. Okay, man. That's fine. We're still going to do compressions on him. Okay. All right. Place the heel of your hand on his breastbone, right in the center of the chest, right between the nipples.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Baby, I'm telling you. Just by looking at him, you can tell.
Okay. And.
Please. Okay, he just gurgled.
Okay. Okay. Listen to me. All right. I want you to place the heel of your hand. Okay, right between his chest, right between his breastbones.
Yes.
Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Yes,
we want to pump his chest on you hard and fast.
I'm going to move that a little forward.
Yep, let's go a little bit.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
I pointed out, I think last week or recently, that you're supposed to do it to the tune of Staying Alive because that's the tempo. And someone corrected me and said that it's also the tempo for Another One Bites the Dust. So hopefully your patient's not listening.
And
14,
Crazy in Love by
15,
Beyonce.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
She's walking around. She's not doing shit.
27, 28,
She's counting.
29.
Yeah.
That's not what CPR sounds like. Just keep it going, Drew. It's just counting.
Keep on pumping for me, ma'am.
I'm doing it. Believe me, I'm doing it, okay? We are playing hide and seek.
Okay. All right, I understand. All right, just keep on pumping for me, okay? Okay.
Please hurry.
Right, okay.
Horrible. This is horrific. What happened?
You locked up in a suitcase.
Like, what happened?
Okay, ma'am, just keep on pumping his chest for me, okay? They're in the parking lot. They should be up there shortly, okay?
Yes. I'm still doing it, okay?
All right, okay, good.
Fucking liar. You're not
And
doing
you found
shit.
them in a suitcase, you said?
Yes. We were playing hide and seek last night. I fell asleep. I think they're here.
Right, just keep on pumping the shit until they take over, okay?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
And she said she had done it before she called too, which was also
Can I
not the
stop
truth,
talking
right?
now?
Let them take over for you, okay?
Here's the cool part. They stay on the phone. They don't hang up.
We were playing hide and seek. He hid in the suitcase. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's been down too long. There's nothing we can do for him.
Hello, ma'am.
And so we're there, obviously.
All right.
Yeah, no, he's my boyfriend. He's your boyfriend? Okay.
Does he have any kind of medical?
No, not that I know of.
Call should be over. Still going. Just because they want to know what the fuck is going on there.
Hey, ma'am, the fire department's going to take care of you now, okay? Yeah, so we'll see you there.
All righty. Hello, ma'am. You still there? Hello?
All right. So, they were listening there just because they wanted to know what was going on.
You live here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to you.
All right, I'm going to
And
pause it
so-
because I got I included the
Okay.
I edited down the.
If you have yours, I'll just take mine off the screen, Drew.
Yeah, go for it. So John brings a good point. Like a lot of times, the dispatchers will hang up, and we won't get a free shot at what's going on in there. So sometimes dispatchers will leave the phone open, and because people just drop the phone, and they'll pick up critical evidence all the time on these 911 calls. This is a great point. Like, it's not necessarily that they're trying to rush off the phone. It's not necessarily cheating, because if there's nothing nefarious going on, there's nothing to worry about. But when people drop the phone, they're just going to leave it running. And I'll tell you, one time I was working a wiretap investigation, and the guy thought that he had hung his phone up. We were already listening. It didn't matter. He did some, he was talking to his girlfriend for a little bit. Then he did some dirty work, like some drug business on the other line. Then he calls this other girl, and long story short, he left the phone off the on, and his girlfriend could hear his conversation that we were hearing, and he was talking about the other girl. And so we had to prevent a shooting. We had to, it almost compromised the investigation because we had to kind of intervene to protect that guy. So anyway, people often leave that phone on the ground, and you can listen. It's fair game. It's going to become evidence. It's not like there's an expectation of privacy because you called 911. And if there is, a defense attorney is going to argue it. It's not going to be anything that's out of line.
Yeah, but what about Drew? What about a clear statement against interest? Set on a recorded 911 line. They don't. I mean, would they be able to make a good case for throwing that out?
Well, did they call 911?
Yeah, they did. In this case, she did.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, she called 911. She initiated the conversation. Even if she called 911 and hung up, and they called back, they had a reason to call back. It's not like they randomly called her. And if she leaves the phone off the hook, she leaves the phone off the hook. It's just a free shot. There's nothing like there's no violation of a statute, or there's nothing there's no constitutional violation in listening to what the normal ear can hear if you were standing there, right?
Exactly.
So if you were just standing outside the door and you overheard it, it would be the same thing.
I just think it's super important to maybe approach the rest of this case with that in mind, that the things that you hear and the things you get told, talking about admissibility, that's a huge part of interviews and interrogations. And it's always a legal minefield whenever you do that. And I'm sure Drew's going to mention that stuff, but that's how it works for 911.
Yeah, he and I were putting a puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, taking stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay. Fine.
So then it's like we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he lives here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I tried giving him CPR. The problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning, when I found him.
Before you called?
Yes!
1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like.
All right, so right off the bat, like what I'm looking at, and I don't know if the detectives did this before they sat her down, but I'm looking at the fact that her hand gestures don't necessarily match her responses. And it's it's nuanced. Like that doesn't necessarily mean she's lying. It just means she's in distress and for some reason. But when you take it in totality of what she's saying, it may be an indicator that she's not being totally forthcoming. But just her reactions, like yes, like her body is going crazy right now on the inside. Her brain, it's freaking out. It's not only freaking out from finding the dead body, it's freaking out from trying to figure out how she's going to get out of this shit.
12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs, and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him, and I took him out, and I tried doing CPR, and then I called him, and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before the fire department got here?
Who?
Your husband or
Yes.
your ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay. Where does he live at?
I just wanted to show that I edited this body cam. It's not. I don't want anyone to think that this is
Right down the street.
Okay.
in sequence.
So you were playing and who zipped him up in?
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. You're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what
I
happened.
fell asleep, so I don't know if he suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or
What
what.
kind of medical conditions does he have?
This is an important question, and it's an even more important answer, and I'll tell you why.
None that I know of.
Nothing that you know of.
None
You
that I
didn't take
know
any
of.
medicine?
No.
She does this constantly. You'll see in the interrogation she does this also. She brings up a point, and then when you hit her with, okay, well now we're getting somewhere because you might have an explanation here, she knocks down your explanation totally, because she says, I don't know if he suffocated, if he had an aneurysm, if he had a heart attack. And she goes, well, does he have any medical conditions? Because the normal person would probably say, well, yes, he has a bad heart, or you know what I mean? Like you might try to cover yourself that way or whatever. And she's like, no. Does he take any medications? No, not that I know of. Like, so why bring that up? Why even bring up the suffocation, the aneurysm, the suffocation's obvious, but why bring up the heart attack? Why bring up the aneurysm? He's a young man. He's, in his 40s and whatever. John?
The other thing that bugs me is that she keeps reacting as though she just found him. She keeps gasping and keeps reacting all anew. It's like she's not sure what to do in this situation, so she thinks she has to be in a state of constant, being struck by this. Like a normal person they have their initial reaction, and then they have kind of a recoil phase, where they it's not that they can't get upset again, but it's like every time someone interacts with her, look at her face right now on the screen. And if you're just listening, you're missing it. The chats are loving it.
Yeah,
she's doing it, and she's doing an O face of screaming, because she's just now considered the whole thing all over again.
She resembles the blow up doll from Tansy's old studio.
All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Doing puzzle artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek. That's all that happened.
Okay.
So I don't know if he had a heart attack or what.
All right, see, that's something I didn't pick up before, and now I'm picking up now. She was like, all we did was we did some puzzles, we painted, we had a bottle of wine, and then nothing happened. Or we played hide and seek, and nothing happened. So that's an innocuous statement to the officer that's standing there interviewing her. It comes into play later in the interrogation. It just hit me like a ton of bricks right now. And I'll talk about it later. Remind me.
Saying nothing happened is just such an obvious, and I'm skipping something. I'm skipping something, and then this happened.
Nothing happened, which means something happened.
Like, I don't know what happened.
So how long were you doing CPR?
I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by like what, 12:30.
Okay.
Well, I went upstairs at least, and I fell asleep, forgetting that he was in
you
the
guys
suitcase.
were playing the hide and go
Yes.
seek. And at some point, you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So he thought it would be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you, and I'll zip you up and make him, you know, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. But then I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
Where was the suitcase?
No, it was the afternoon. It was afternoon.
Is it hide and seek or hide and go seek? Or go hide and seek?
I always said, well, when I was a kid, I said hide and go seek. And now I say, now obviously as an adult, whenever I play, it's hide and seek.
It's the contracted version?
Yeah, I don't have time.
I was awake, but then I finally decided to come downstairs at like 12:30-ish, whatever it is. And I was like, I forgot he was in the suitcase, and he wasn't moving. Nothing was happening. So I unzipped it, took him out, and started doing CPR on him. I don't, like, this was totally, like, not intentional. Like,
Okay, this is our first conversation with the two detectives.
that's what I'm scared about too. Like
we'll have all the answers. We'll have a lot more answers tomorrow after medical exam. We look at them. Like you said, what you're seeing here is common. This is us coming out to the scene. Yeah,
They're just explaining to her, like, because she's already getting alarmed at the amount of officers present and the detectives walking in and out, and like, you know, if you find your fiance in a suitcase the following morning after a vicious game of hide and seek or hide and go seek, what are you worried about? Like, what do you care if there's 1,000 stretchers and 2 ambulances and a fire truck and, you know, whatever, Chief Keefe on the scene? Like, who cares? She cares because she's nervous about what's going on. So she's even saying, I'm scared. I don't know what to do.
we'll give them their number. They can contact them, get it from them.
But yeah, they're gonna know what we're here.
She's very concerned about what his parents are going to know and what they're going to think.
Yeah, well, of course, they're going to find out their son died in a suitcase. Drew, you've done death notifications, right? They're not easy. You're just like, I'm sorry, your son was in a car accident, he didn't make it, or your son was in a machete fight and he didn't make it. Can you imagine? I'm sorry, your son didn't make it. You're like, my God, what happened? Was there a fire? And you're like, no, I got zipped in a suitcase during a hide and seek game, ma'am. Anyway, I'm gonna blast off out of here.
Like,
you know, how the hell do you handle that?
We'll call you after the medical examiner, and also, like, I can't even say, look. I'd like to just tell you that they were trying to make him a stowaway and they were going to fly to Puerto Rico. Or,
that would have been a better story.
I want to give you a reason why, but no, they were playing hide and seek.
This would have been a better story. Just say you had to catch the red eye and you overslept, and so to save time, you packed him the night before. That's such a better story than hide and go seek.
That
they're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
All right, so that's an important statement. That's a spontaneous admission that she's making, a spontaneous statement that she's making to these detectives. She says, they're going to think I killed him. First of all, she's wringing her hands like she's washing them with pumice. She's like, they're going to think and then the detective's natural question would be, why would they think that?
Why would
and she
think
says,
that?
And she says, because they always say that. So that should send the hair on the back of your neck up a little bit.
The last time I stabbed him, they said the same thing.
I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they
She's the blue-eyed white dragon, if you can't hear that.
call me, because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them. Even after I have encouraged him numerous times to go over there and see his family.
I promise we're not going to leave here for you and you not feel safe. Okay? I promise.
Please. Okay. I don't even know what to tell you.
It's okay. Just take a seat, have some water, give us a few minutes, let us do our thing, and we'll be back to talk to you, I promise, okay?
Yeah, I had to cut a lot of it out because there was a lot of wind blowing, and this was the officer's body cam. So it was a February day in Winter Park, so it was probably just slightly chilly, and there was some wind blowing. You couldn't hear a lot of the stuff on there. So here's the procedure. We're going to get into the interrogation now. They come into the room.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yes, ma'am. Can I want to ask you about the youth whenever we have a moment.
Sure. So obviously, he received his autopsy. So I'm going to read you your rights again because we have to talk about that. And
Okay, the interviewee is in a four-legged chair, and that's done purposely. First of all, there's two detectives in there. One of them's got a notepad out, which is good. He's probably going to take notes and just stay quiet and only intervene when he needs to, is the plan. It could be the plan. Maybe not. We have, obviously, the lead investigator, the female, who is sitting across from her, no barriers in between them, so she can get closer to her and back from her as she needs to. You don't want the defendant or interviewee to have that table to lean on. And the whole point of her being in a four-legged chair, and I said this wrong in the Holtzclaw episode. I've yet to go back and retract it. What you want is for your interviewee to be in a four-legged chair that doesn't move or doesn't rock, because you want to see the energy that they're trying to expend and burn off, and you want to see when they're trying to expend it and burn it off. Having to burn off a lot of extra energy is your body's way of fighting the untruthfulness. It's a way of fighting all the adrenaline that's coursing through your veins. If you're a cooperative interviewee, chances are your feet are firmly planted on the ground and pointing towards the person that you're talking to, like chest to chest, face to face even. But she is not. She is in a guarded position. She's got her legs crossed, which is an indication of kind of like closing off. And I didn't mean for my voice to crack like Peter Brady. Now, she's also got her arms like folded in her lap. And that's called like a fig leaf gesture, I think they call it. But it's essentially like
she's protecting what's important to her. Yeah.
She's protecting what's important to her, and it may not be, genitalia related. It might be like her femoral arteries, you know what I mean? But it's instinctive. It's what we're probably bred as humans, through the caveman age, you know what I mean? And she doesn't realize she's doing it, but she's doing it. So you see her here, her shoulders are slumped. There's no confidence. So if you're in there and you've got nothing to worry about, you've really got nothing to worry about. Like, I get that when you get into an interrogation room, you automatically have something to worry about because you don't know how your words are going to be twisted. But, we've got this on video and we've got all these other remedies. So here we go. Let's listen to some of the questions and some of the answers.
Since I'm talking about the incident, we just have to do it, just like we did yesterday. Just like we did yesterday. Remember I read you the rights? Your rights? Yeah. So it's the exact same thing, but since I'm asking you follow-up questions, I need to read them to you, okay?
Sure.
All right. So you have the right to remain silent.
Okay, so that was another reason I put the procedure in there. Just so you know, like, hey, we have to read your rights to you again. They read her Miranda warnings yesterday. They got an interview from her. Obviously, she waived her attorney. She waived her right to remain silent. Now they've brought her to their venue. If she showed up there on her own, which I think she did because she asks, what's going to happen to my car? That's an indicator that they didn't transport her there. So she's in essence right now free to leave probably, but they're there gathering information, doing an interview at this point, not an interrogation, an interview to try to get the information from her. The difference between an interview and an interrogation is the harshness of the approach. So an interview is more like, I'm trying to figure out who stole the iPad. Did you steal the iPad? Whereas an interrogation is you've turned the heat up already and you're like, I know you stole the iPad. I'm just trying to figure out why. You'll see right in here when they transition to an interrogation. But they got all the formality out of the way by rereading her Miranda rights and in her warnings. She's good to go. She wants to talk. She wants to, and there are reasons for that. People want to talk to you for three reasons. One, they're innocent. Or two, they want to find out what you know. They're going to fish for information. Or three, they're just trying to bamboozle you because they think you're stupid. And that's fine with. I always enjoyed playing the dumb street cop for the first 15 or 20 minutes and then mystifying them with some type of algebraic knowledge.
So this morning we went to his autopsy, and we were informed of some injuries that he has by the doctor.
All right, watch her facial expressions.
So I want...
Oh, I put this note in here. Look, I'm guilty of this, and it drives me insane, but this is a homicide interview. There's a dead person involved. And I'm not, look, I'm Monday morning. I am totally Monday morning quarterback in this second detective. And I don't mean it to, I don't mean any ill will. I couldn't have done any better than he did, I don't think. But he's got his head buried in his cell phone. And there are times when you have to have your head buried in your cell phone because maybe an attorney's calling or whatever. There might be a safety issue, but it should be rare and it shouldn't be often. But unfortunately, in this instance, it's not rare and it is often. It's a distraction for you, and I'm saying give it the reverence this deserves. If you're conducting a death investigation interview that could send this lady to prison for 30 or 40 years, or maybe the rest of her life, or even her death, put your frickin' cell phone away. And if somebody has to interrupt, God forbid, let them interrupt.
So he's got scratch marks to his back.
I know what that's from.
Okay.
I know what that's from. So she's saying in this instance, she's going to start denying before the question's even asked. So watch out for that, and you'll see what's known as a stop gesture.
Had some injuries to his left shoulder. He had a cut near his lip. We could see his mouth was a little.
I haven't laid a hand on him.
Okay, furrowed brow, and she throws up the two hands, which is an indicator for stop talking, stop saying what you're saying. I have nothing to do with this. She's not asking her a question, though. All she's doing is telling her what the medical examiner found. She's not saying the medical examiner thinks that you beat him up. She's not saying that the medical examiner thinks that this could be from the suitcase. She's saying he's got scratches on his back, scratch across his neck, and he's got a busted lip and a bump on his head. And she's automatically saying, stop. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, let's take that. Let's contrast that or compare it to what you heard on the body cam where she said, nothing happened. All we did was did a puzzle. Nothing happened. Then we played hide and seek. Okay, so what's nothing, right?
Okay.
Also, too, he fell off my son's bike.
Okay.
So I don't know. And he's notorious for running into the wall or the hall tree.
Okay.
So
Okay. What about the scratches? Because there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's also a scratch on the back of his neck, kind of going, but it's going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
Okay, Tactical says she reminds me of Casey Anthony, and that's a great point. I'll tell you this, the difference here, though. Casey Anthony, if you listen to any of those interviews, and I used to teach them in the course that I did, she has a pattern that you can pick up after the fact. Not that the detectives probably could pick up while they were talking to her. If you listen to them now, though, you can tell that she's very smooth sailing and she's telling the truth. She's telling the truth. Then she gets to a very rocky part where she's lying and she gets very choppy. So it's not going to come out on a transcript if you read it, but if you listen to it, that's why I say put your fucking cell phone away and listen to what she's saying, because what she's going to slip up, first of all, but second of all, if it's smooth sailing and it starts to get choppy, that's the part you need to focus on, the choppy part. John, you got anything so far?
No, you're doing a great job. The only time I've ever interviewed or interrogated people, it literally was over stolen iPads. And so, I mean, usually you start out innocent enough, this thing's missing. Do you have any idea where it'd be? And I can kind of see where they went that tax. So I'm just finding out your boyfriend is dead. That's weird,
Right. And what's all this yeast? All right. So this says modifiers and confusing answers. Listen for this.
So they definitely occurred, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's something called a modifier. There's no reason for her to say in all honesty. If you're being honest with me, you don't have to tell me you're being honest with me. Like, just be honest with me. You don't have to say, look, in all honesty, I hope you're fucking, I always used to correct people. Yes, I hope it's all honesty. I hope everything you told me before is all honesty. And I hope that you're going to tell me everything after is all honesty. You don't need to say in all honesty, because everything you're telling me should be honest.
You know what I like to always say? I always like to say, don't sell me. Just tell me. That's original. If anyone else uses it, they owe me royalties. That is copyrighted.
Man, you might even
make
see that.
checks payable to Jay Bates.
Right, like, the only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about, which I was going to be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is.
So she's owning up to that. She's like, look, the only thing I thought you were going to ask me about was the scratch marks on his back. How did she know, or did she remember that? And why didn't she offer that before, right? So she's also prepared that there was more than just the scratch marks on his back, if she knew that all she was going to own up to was the scratch marks on his back.
No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over at the house too, so.
Okay, this is the confusing answer I'm talking about. So she just throws in there, and by the way, I've had my son over at the house. Listen to what the interviewer says.
Well, your son was there when? When was he last there?
Oh, gosh.
From my understanding, he was there like last Tuesday?
I don't know if it was Tuesday, but yes, he was there last week, so.
Well, we're talking about Sunday.
Yeah.
We're just talking about what occurred Sunday. Because like I said, the injuries they occurred within that time period.
So you're talking about day before yesterday?
Sunday leading into Monday. You called us yesterday at 1, but the incident, you guys were painting and stuff the night prior.
So just her mannerisms and her shock and all this other stuff at, when she said something simple, like it was the day before yesterday. This is all fake confusion. She's faking all of this. And just all she's trying to do is cloud the issue and confuse the investigators by saying things like, and I've had my son there. And they're like, yeah, but that was last Tuesday.
If it's irrelevant, she'll bring it up.
And she's like, well, we're talking about the day before yesterday. Well, wait a minute. Not the day before yesterday. We're talking about Sunday.
Now Drew,
go ahead.
Quick question for you for why she might be bringing up all these irrelevant things. It's a little bit difficult because we're getting a kind of an objective perspective from the camera, but she's looking at these people straight in the eyes. And I know one aspect of at least motivational interviewing is what we call the I guess it's the pregnant pause or the attentional pause, where you ask someone a question and then you just let it lie. And then they've got to fill up that space with something. Yeah. And of course she doesn't want to say. And then so like, I totally murdered his ass. So they're like, oh, and my son was there. So she just fills it with as much like extraneous detail as possible to make it seem like she's giving information, but she has no information to give without incriminating herself. So every time they kind of just give her room to speak, she's just filling it with crap.
That's you're dead on with that. I mean, she is filling in the gap, and you're right. Silence is golden, especially in these situations. Like, it is so uncomfortable for them to sit there in silence that they will start to talk more, and the more they talk, the more they're going to trip over what they're saying. So, good point. Strong denial or cooperation you're going to see here. Watch this.
I have no idea, and I don't want to seem out of sorts, but I have no idea. We had a good day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good day. We've had good days lately, even considering everything that's going on with our jobs and life in general and ex-wives and everything. It's been good. Like, I don't even know where this is coming from.
Don't even know where what is coming from, though. They haven't really accused her of anything.
A month ago, he hit you with a curtain rod.
Yeah, with a curtain rod. That's why I can't believe you guys didn't take that either.
Okay, so this lays the groundwork.
Wait, what?
She says a month ago,
I didn't take the curtain rod. Where's this coming from?
She says a month ago he hit you with a curtain rod. She's like, yeah, he hit me with a curtain rod, and I'm surprised you guys didn't take that either. So she's automatically starting to try to paint this picture that things aren't rosy in this relationship. He beats her. She's got an out, but she never uses it. You see what I'm saying? Like
Well,
she's
she can't use it without incriminating herself. She can't say, it was self-defense. She
Yeah.
can't say I'm a battered woman, because both of those are affirmative defenses to an admitted murder. It's like at that point, you're saying, yes, I killed him, but, and she doesn't want to get to that point. She doesn't want to give up those yards to where she has to go to that play. She would rather have them say, well, everything checks out. Have a great day. But she keeps not getting to that point. So she's just getting ready to, yeah, I killed him, but. So she can feel the ground coming out from underneath her. Drew.
So here she's fishing, and she's starting to paint her own self-portrait. Remember, she said she was painting, but she's doing it in a different way.
He's been having his classes and seeing his probation officer, who's amazing. So.
What do you mean by good? What's your definition of good?
The probation officer?
No, you said you guys have been good. What's your definition?
I've been good. I don't think you all understand. He comes at me all the time.
Okay, so this is now it's starting to rear its ugly head. She is giving way, and little does she know, this is where we start to develop a theme as detectives or interviewers. Like, okay, noted. She's abused. Now, she may very well be abused, and there is documentation that said so. Like, he went to jail for that. She's talking about how he was on probation, and that was what it was for, and that he's going to classes and all this other stuff. She was also arrested for domestic violence, apparently, prior to this. One, and two, why are we talking about the dead guy's past habits if this were just an innocent game of hide and seek? There would be no need to explain that. Like, even she's going to start to build a story in a second where she's, very caring, and she was trying to straighten his life out for him and all that. If she were that protective, she would be like, that was in the past. This is not what we, she's trying to say we had a good day. She's not talking about how they've had a good life together after that.
Yeah.
She's talking about that day specifically because it's the day he died.
Drew, when you talk about building a theme, that's something that we do in advanced negotiations too. It's trying to figure out kind of what was driving them and what's the history with them, and what the acts of violence, whether it's hostage taking or murder, how is that self-expressive? How did they get to this point? And it's if my job is at all like yours, it could be very difficult when you see a theme working to skip to the end. You have to continue to build that slow rapport. You've got to break her down. Some of that is with time, her just getting more tired, her not seeing you as an enemy, as someone who's interviewing her. But when you see kind of the road that you're going to go down and it's being fruitful at every turn, it's very hard not to go to the end and not just say, in my case, okay, why don't you just give up and come on out, because that'll make him defensive again. And in your case, saying, so yeah, so you killed the guy, but we understand why. Like that would obviously be skipping to the end in your case, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it depends on what point you're in the interview. I mean, when you're developing a theme, you're not seeking to justify the behavior. You're just trying to get them to see that you identify with maybe it's a level of Susan B. empathy.
Well, I mean, but you could, Drew, you could use a little trickery and kind of imply that, it might have been justified, or you're a battered woman. These things happen.
It's not even trickery. I mean, but because sometimes it's truth, and it does give them, like, there's nothing that says in interviewing that you can't give somebody an out.
Yeah.
Like, if you give them an out like that, perfect. What you're looking for is an admission or a confession.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're not looking for them to say I did it. You're just looking for the truth. Right. So, so the difference between an admission and a confession is that a confession is like the full on, this is what happened and this is I did it. But an admission is just like, well, I did zip the suitcase up, but I left a little air pocket for him. That's an admission. Like, you're getting there, but you're not. That's not the full on confession. And back to your point too. Also, when I did my interviews and interrogations class, the first day we would spend, I would have everybody come up and interview one another just on the human level, not about cop stuff. That was one of my big rules. Like, don't talk about cop shit. Like, we all know, everybody's like, oh, so what kind of gun do you carry? Like, we all have that in common. What you want to do is find common ground with somebody. So if you get good at, and this is for this is for any interviews, like if you're going to do an interview in a managerial position, or if you're going to do an interview as a law enforcement officer or corrections officer or whatever, if you can find the common ground with somebody in the first 5 or 10 minutes of your conversation, you would be amazed at how much you have in common with somebody. Like, sometimes it's like, well, yeah, no, I mean, I grew up in Puerto Rico and my dad played professional cricket. And, the other guy's like, your dad played cricket in Puerto Rico? My dad played in Venezuela. It was like in the late 80s, though. Yeah, my dad was in the late 80s too. Like, in next thing you know, they're having a conversation and they've forgotten all about us.
And it's rapport building.
It's rapport building, and it's also about, this is where you find out what's important to them. So when she brings up her son's name, Lucas, and that he's 9 years old, don't think that I haven't stuffed that in my skull. So when it comes around and she's like on the edge of about to fall off the cliff, and she's about to give the confession, I would say, don't you want to be at Lucas's 10th birthday party?
Yeah.
Well, you want Luke, you know what I mean? Like, it just brings it back to, oh shit, he remembered. That's what we do on this show all the time. We recall, stuff, and it makes it funny, but it's the same tactic. It's the same thing that we do here. All
Plus,
right?
I'm only here because you gaslight me.
Right. You're putting words in my mouth.
Me. So it's either I flee or try to go upstairs and go to sleep. That's usually what it is.
Okay, I think this is an important point she just made. I hate stalling this more, but she says he gets drunk, he gets out of control, and I either flee or I go upstairs and read a book. Those are like two opposite ends of the spectrum. But ironically, she went upstairs to read a book, and that's why this dude got left in a suitcase. So it's odd that she crowbarred that into this conversation.
Sir, who's amazing. So.
What do you mean by good? What's your definition of good?
I went back a little.
Definition officer?
No, you said you guys have been good. What's your definition?
I've been good. I don't think you all understand. He comes at me all the time. He comes at me. So it's either I flee or try to go upstairs and go to sleep. That's usually what it is. And I don't know if you talk to Brian about any of that, but most of the time when I flee, I go over there. So.
I don't know if you talked to Brian about that. She's fishing.
Belligerently drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you all have looked through my phone yet and seen any of the pictures and the videos that I have
fishing.
Taken. And at one point, I started documenting everything.
Okay.
So you all will see in my pictures.
Watch her cry here.
So it's.
Then why are you still with him?
Everybody asks me that. When I tell you guys this, I really love him. Mm-hmm. I've really helped him. I've bailed him out of jail, 3 times. I've gone to every single hearing and every single arraignment, everything that I did for him. Gone to see all his public defenders, go to the state. I've gone to the state. I did everything for him because I'm trying to help him, because I had hope in him. And he was trying. He was really trying.
Now, Drew, normally when somebody cries, aren't you catching them at their lowest when they cry? But to me, I'm not getting these vibes from her that she's at her lowest. This is just all a put on.
She's crying, but she's also sitting straight up like she's not in a ball. She's making eye contact with. It's weird. Like, you talked a minute ago about making eye contact and how important it is, but too much eye contact is way too weird. One and two, because it's not normal. And two, when people are thinking of stuff, they're trying to recall. They'll look around, or they'll maybe not look at you dead in the eye. When somebody starts crying, though, like you hear that shrill, that voice, there better be tears, or there better be snot running out of her nose, or I'm calling bullshit.
Drew, she's like this all the time. I'm calling that now. This is standard her for anything she needs to get out of trouble, anything she just doesn't want to take accountability for. This is her.
Yeah, she feels the walls closing in, as our friend Steve from Things Police See.
Think about things, and it says, I think he gets overwhelmed, and then it's like, the next thing I know, he's drinking. So it's.
Okay, so a minute ago she was on the verge of tears, and then miraculously, no quiver in the voice whatsoever.
Like, oh man, I know where this is going to go, so I'm going to go upstairs and read a book, or I'm going to go for a bike ride, or I'm going to do something else. Or I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink. The occasional wine, whatever, or if it's a weekend, that's when you have a good time. You don't have to wake up the next day. I have to wake up the next day and do things. I have to tend to Lucas. I have to take him to school. I have all this stuff to do. So he always had something on his mind.
So she's, again, crowbarring how virtuous
Yeah.
she really is, like into the
There's-
conversation. It's got, she's saying, I'm okay with a little drinky drink on the weekends, but not when I got to get up the next day.
Oh, she's
Which-
a teetotaler. It just as a reminder, while I have you at your silence, I'm a good mom too.
Yeah.
Which is why, again, I got the puzzles and the paint to try to get him off of it so we don't have a drink, or he doesn't have a drink. So when you all see my phone, you can see all of the damage he has done to me and the videos of him smashing my television because he's belligerently drunk. Where most of the time, I just don't want to be there. And I try to help him. I try to calm him down. Eventually, he just passes out.
I totally think that was a Freudian slip that she just gave. She's like, eventually what happens is he just passes out. Because I think that's exactly what happened to her. She just passed out.
Or that it was his own fault for drinking, which is why he passed out inside the suitcase or something.
Okay, so here's a very important, this is somewhat of an admission. Here's the deal. What we're looking for is the truth in this, in any interview or interrogation. If anybody tells you that we're looking for a confession 100% of the time, that's bullshit. Because a lot of the times when you don't get a confession, it's a lot easier to prove because you just investigate around the alibi. And this is an alibi that she's about to give that you can easily debunk, very easily debunk. So this is, just listen to how she words it here.
Well, yesterday it made it sound like you guys were just drinking like a glass or two. Like, yeah, you obviously had the bottle, but you told me on recording like that you were not drunk, he was not drunk, you guys were having a good time.
I can't get drunk. Number one, I do not want to get drunk. I don't like being non-compos mentis. Having
Non-compos mentis.
my wits
Oh
about
my
myself.
goodness.
I don't like feeling
Tell me Google wasn't on fire last night.
out of control. So
I'm just saying, you're making it sound like he's a raging alcoholic today, and yesterday I was kind of asking you those questions, and you're like a little defensive, like, no, we're not alcoholics.
I'm not.
We are not, you know. But you guys were both sober on Sunday, to your knowledge, because when I said you went and passed out, you were like, no, I didn't pass out, I just fell asleep. So now it's kind of like, what is it? Were you guys drinking and it got out of hand and
no.
It got physical?
No.
Or is it?
So here she explains her habit.
I mean, I can get like maybe 2-3 glasses of wine, and I'll be fine. But I have to have my wits about myself because I don't know what to expect.
Well, let's talk about Sunday. What was Sunday? How were you, like, how many glasses of wine did you have? How many glasses of wine did he have? The bottle was gone. I mean, I don't know if you poured any out. Yes.
No, that was from previous.
You said that there was a half bottle left
Yeah,
over.
about this much.
And then that you had well, I don't even know how the wine, how'd you guys get the wine for Sunday?
I'm guessing he went to Publix.
This is why I would encourage you to get an attorney anyway, because it's a very innocent question. Like, where'd you get the wine anyway? You'll find out later. They knew exactly where he got the wine and how much he got.
So, where were you guys at on drunkenness, not drunkenness on Sunday? You told us you weren't drunk.
No, I was not drunk.
Right.
I was not drunk. So with him, I don't know. I know when it's like, oh, okay, man, where I have told him, slow down. It's starting to catch up with you. Slow down. Slow down. And I tried in every way, shape, and form. Ask everyone. I helped him. I took care of him. I miss him a lot, and I didn't even sleep last night.
Oh, did I guess you were awake the whole time? He was in the suitcase.
I mean,
Oh
is
wait,
there
I
any
wasn't
chance
the
it
night
got to be
before.
too much for you and you couldn't handle taking care of him?
Guess what? Neither did he.
And
I never stopped.
trying to
I never
help
stopped. That's what I'm here for. I never stopped. I'm here now because I'm still trying to help him.
Yeah.
Slapping the knees is like you're expending the energy, you're trying to get her attention, and it's not working.
Help him do what?
We're not quite in the interrogation yet. The only way I can explain this, and it doesn't translate well to the younger deputies, officers, and detectives in my classes. Remember, there used to be like a red into blue on your air conditioner, or blue into red on your air conditioner in your car. Like, John, you had an 86 Pacer. So we're probably right where red meets blue now. So we're at like a 5 in this scale of things. Like when you start turning up the heat to a 6, 7, 8, then that's probably when we're in the interrogation. We're still a little bit in the
Water's
interviews.
not boiling yet, Drew.
It's not boiling yet. It's definitely bubbling at the bottom, and and she's already locked herself into a story, which, by the way, probably would have been the only way out. I mean, if me personally, if I were blackout drunk and I passed out, I would just say, I was blackout drunk and I passed out. I have no fucking clue what happened in that suitcase. I mean, you're telling me what happened. Okay, I'll take your word for it, because that could be the difference between malice and just like dumb ass conduct. That could be the difference between maybe like manslaughter would require malice. I think she was charged with 2nd-degree murder. It could also be culpable negligence. Just you're fucking around and somebody got hurt and died. I mean, that's I think it depends on what goes into it, but obviously we'll see here in a minute.
I mean, it's unexplainable how he got these injuries, and
I have no idea.
you were the only one with him.
100% right hand to God. I have no idea how he got them.
When someone gives a number, a percentage, and invokes God, they're lying.
Nobody touched anybody. Nobody touched anybody.
So here she tries to build her own character.
I even went down and met his probation officer, which I say she's wonderful. That's one of my questions too I need to talk to you about. Hugged me and said how much she knows that I take care of him. She called me personally one time when George was at work, when he was working. 42-minute phone call. She and I just saying how grateful she is that George has me. And she knows how hard I'm working to help him, just as she is and just as the classes will.
What that is just like, if she occupies the investigator's time with having to interview everybody to determine what her character was and how bad he was, it just gives her more time to build a story. That's all that is. So now it's time to paint George's portrait.
Where it's like, wow, you actually are learning this in class? And some of the stuff that they would show them, like videos, he would come home and be like, Sarah, I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. Because for a video that he watches to make him feel that way, where it's like, oh man, I have done her wrong. But he's changed. He changed.
Literally none of those things have ever happened.
Okay, look, we're gonna find the one spot that I really want to show right now. Then we'll just dedicate another episode to it. How about that?
I had him arrested.
Okay.
How many times? Where it's like, wow, you actually are learning this in class? And
This is
some
exactly
of the
what
stuff that
you
they would show them, like videos, he would come home and be like, Sarah, I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. Because for a video that he watches to make him feel that way, where it's like, oh man, I have done her wrong. But he's changed. He changed.
Knock, knock, John.
Oh, hello.
You're supposed to say something else. Knock, knock, John.
Aren't I supposed to start it if it's a knock knock joke? Who's there, Drew?
Interrupting cow.
At some point, somebody gets enough, then they have to do something to defend themselves.
I would just flee, and I don't know if you would like to see it on my phone, or I think it's actually on a laptop. I actually, because, and you have to understand too, I have, like, prior to classes in PO, kicked him out. How many times? I had him arrested. How many times?
But you also went down and bailed him out.
I know.
The next day.
I know.
What's on your laptop?
What was I going to tell you?
Okay, so this is the con of having two interviewers in there. The pro is that, you know, one guy is going to pick up what the other one doesn't, or one girl's going to pick up what the other guy hasn't said. The con is you constantly end up interrupting each other and stepping all over each other.
We do that sometimes around here, Drew, and it's
we
really
do
not
that
a bad
sometimes.
thing.
And she was about to give a very important admission, and she said something about her laptop, and he stuck with the theme of the probation officer, and the other detective was like, "What's on your laptop?" And she's so thrown off that she can't even remember what she was going to say, which could have been either an admission or it could have been a different lock to the story.
There's no delicate way to go back around to that critical evidence.
Previously,
Yeah.
I actually looked up how to file a restraining order.
Okay.
The other time he talked to her, made her talk to Cookie. That's on my cell phone too, so you can see it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter.
What does she have to do, though, with anything about what happened Sunday and into Monday?
Talking about the ex-wife. So, you know, she's basically saying that, like, the crazy ex-wife made him talk about, and you're going to see it on my phone. You know, she's fishing. Have you looked on my phone yet? Have you looked on my phone yet? Basically is what she's saying. And the detective is like gearing her right back onto the track. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Like, no, I'm just saying, like, previously, why the incidents would happen.
Tactical's has hit the nail on the head. The female detective is very annoyed with her, and in fact, they both get annoyed with her. And it's a very tough thing to fight because you get tired of hearing somebody's bullshit. But do you want the confession? I mean, really, all you're doing is you're getting paid the exact same. The only thing you're doing is tightening your case by showing the patience. She definitely would have driven me insane. There's no question in my mind.
And she plays a big part in it.
Okay.
On top of job and money and groceries and all that.
Okay.
Sunday, when I tell you this, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Is there anybody else at the house?
Nope, it's just me and him.
So there's time unaccounted for in this next statement.
Is when you went to hide upstairs?
So 8 o'clock is when I went to hide upstairs?
No, that's when we were, like, painting. So then it's like, okay, well, I don't want to paint anymore. Let's just, come on. Okay, you want to play hide and seek? What he does is, okay, tag, you're it. So it's like, okay, we know. Okay, take off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did.
And then you went upstairs, and then he didn't come up, and you came down. And the suitcase was there originally because you guys were planning to do donations, so it was already there.
Here's an odd response, maybe a slip.
Have you guys ever played you said you played hide and seek like probably 3 times in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
When you have played, have you ever zipped him up in a suitcase prior?
No.
Okay. So it was just kind of like that prop was there, and it was there, and it was in play because...
Why do you say it like that, though?
I would never do that.
It's just an odd response. Like, first of all, she's like, no. Then the female detective is explaining some more, and she doesn't let her finish. She's like, yes. So when you start anticipating what the question is, your mind is racing. And then she was like, because I would never do that. Do what, though? Because she did do that. She zipped a dude up in a suitcase. That's why we're here. So she did do that. Now listen to her response when they confront her with that.
You would never zip him up in a suitcase?
Well,
I mean, we were playing.
No, I know,
that
but
time,
I'm talking about hide and seek, which is a game, so.
The suitcase originally is in our closet, buried all the way to the back.
That has nothing to do with
I know
anything.
the CSI people saw our closet needs to be cleaned out really bad. My son.
That has nothing to do with what you were just confronted with at all. That makes me insane. She's like, so you would step him up in a suitcase? Listen, the suitcase is in the back of the closet, and we need to clean it out. It's like she is changing gears, trying to change the subject so hard.
It's not even that. It's she really likes to cloud the issue, and she likes to offer things for you to verify what she's saying. So she's saying your CSI people in the closet, they can verify how, see, I'm a truthful person.
They'll verify that it's messy, but that's not substantive to your criminal issue.
Exactly, but she thinks that she's making progress by doing this. So I want to get to this one point, and then we are going to continue this on another episode.
The Suitcase
out
trilogy.
Really bad because they don't fit him anymore, and I'm tired of looking at them. So he took it upon himself, including that suitcase, to take it downstairs so we can get all of our clothes, our donations, and everything, and just leave the whole thing by the clothing and shoe thing at my son's school.
No, I'm just asking, in the past, like, have you ever zipped him up in anything, jokingly or not, but obviously I understand, you're claiming that Sunday it was a joking matter, you were laughing, he was laughing, but what I'm just asking is in the past, like, is it something that you guys normally do?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
When someone tells you that, by the way, twice, absolutely not, absolutely not. That's let me give you a popular phrase where that choppiness came in. I did not have sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
We were actually this last game running out of places to hide because we have a townhome where it's upstairs or downstairs. So.
So now we're going to the next phase. We're getting in the 7s and 8s now. We're in the red.
Do you remember making any videos or maybe having any photos, videos that you remember doing on your phone on Sunday?
No.
Nope.
I think I took a picture of a dog.
Okay.
Nothing.
Your phone is password protected. You have the password. He has the facial recognition.
Nothing to do with it, the whole dog thing.
Yes or no questions required.
Okay, so
yes
he doesn't know
no.
the password and he doesn't have the facial recognition.
No.
But he is the only other person that would use your phone, I'm assuming, other than...
Lucas.
Right. But Lucas wasn't there Sunday. Right. So, to your recollection, no videos on Sunday?
Not that I'm aware of.
So, to your recollection, was he there Sunday? Not that I'm aware of. John, listen to that.
Okay, so he doesn't know the password and he doesn't have the facial recognition. No. But he is the only other person that would use your phone, I'm assuming, other than...
Lucas.
Right. But Lucas wasn't there Sunday. Right. So, to your recollection, no videos on Sunday?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of. John, what's the Boy Scouts motto?
I think it's always be prepared.
You're so good.
So I have something that I want to show you that we found.
We're definitely in the interrogation phase now.
And
get ready for this.
It was from your phone. Mm-hmm. Can you see it?
It's from your phone.
If you need to move it around, go ahead.
No, I don't remember that.
For everything you've done to me. For everything you've done to me.
Your battery's about to die.
Shut it down.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. Come on. Drew, be prepared.
Thank you. Boy Scout
Oh my
motto.
gosh.
Always be prepared. Be prepared.
They were getting ready to hammer and they swung back and the battery died.
This would have been perfect. I mean, and by the way, if you don't know what they're playing, we can't really see it on the camera, but you hear him in the suitcase muffled. Sarah, this isn't funny. Sarah, I can't breathe. Let
Drew,
me out.
let me
and
ask
she's
you
like,
this.
hold on, John. And she's like, this is for all the shit you did to me. Go ahead, John.
So could you take advantage of this and say like, oh, sorry, the laptop died. Before we watch that, like, do you have anything you want to say about that before we get my charger in here?
No, I wouldn't suggest it. I would suggest doing exactly what they did and playing it all the way through, because it's definitely an impactful video, and you want to get her reaction. You definitely want to get her reaction to the video. Now, I think that there is only one. To me, there's only one acceptable out of this. Yeah, guys, I don't remember making this video. The interview's over. I was blind drunk.
Yep.
The interview's over. That's the only acceptable thing. Or I was so drunk, I don't even remember making this video. I see what happened now, and I don't want to. This is bad.
Or get me my lawyer. I'm not saying anything else.
Right.
I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
All right, so watch what happens here. Watch the Keystonian chaos that happens. I'm not taking shots at these detectives. Things like this happen all the time. This is why I say be prepared. Like you definitely have to prepare for Murphy's Law, because this is the absolute worst time for this to happen. So what do we do here?
It doesn't last very long.
It used to last a lot longer than that. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I don't know what
Let
happened.
me just grab something.
All right.
So now she's got to get up. She's got to go find a charger. So here's the biggest theme to develop. He's going to have a little conversation with her.
I don't think you all understand who I am. Where
Well, tell me.
Well, tell me who
I've
you are.
always been a straight-A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son. I excel at everything.
I excel at everything. My
I
God.
would not do that.
You wouldn't lock somebody in a suitcase?
I was never late to school. I was always on time.
Okay, but that comes back later, in my opinion, though, in this interview. That definitely comes back later. Like, look, you're a straight A student. You're always in control. You know what you're doing. And this is a full soliloquy that you give her, where when she starts talking, you say, stop talking, Sarah. And you just keep going and going and going, and you lay out this entire case. And she's got nowhere to go. She's either going to say no, and no, stop. We're already past that, Sarah. But that's not what happens. So let's just watch a little more, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, I didn't completely lock it. I mean, I opened it with one finger. I left enough in there for.
Okay, watch what the detective is doing. So she is talking about the zipper on the suitcase that killed her boyfriend. One detective is fucking with a power cord. The second detective is, I don't know, intimidated by the same power cord, just distracted. And she's giving you great information.
To get out.
Okay.
And he's like, okay,
And I wasn't
keep
planning on
talking.
going upstairs and going to sleep.
Okay.
Again, I'm not taking pot shots at this guy. I will bet you $1,000 right now, John. If I walked into that room and told everybody time out, and I looked at him and said, what was the last thing she just said? He would be like, something about fucking pencils. Like he wouldn't know. He would have no clue because he's distracted.
No, it's just the way you said it.
You guys are scaring me.
Why?
But it gave her time to build this other story.
Hey, Drew, isn't it always kind of a bad idea to say the word why? Or like, wouldn't it be better just to say like, what is it that's making you feel that way? Or what's happening that, that you're feeling scared? Why is always kind of a little bit accusatory. It's a little bit aggressive, in my opinion. No matter how you're interviewing someone, why is usually a bad question, isn't it?
We're in why territory, though. We're not interviewing anymore. We're in interrogation. So I think crisp, sharp answers are this requires a why. Why am I scaring you? Like, what am I doing that's scaring you? Tell me. Because now she sees we're not fucking around anymore. We're not doing the dance anymore. Okay. In a negotiation that you're used to, you should probably never ask why. You should probably, because you're trying to gently massage the conversation or whatever. This is a full on. Yep, I've flipped. I'm Dr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll now, Mr. Hyde.
Hyde's the bad one, yeah. He's Mr.
Okay.
Hyde now.
So I'm Mr. Hyde now. Let's just end it here at 21:23. How about that? And then you can. Do we have voicemails?
Yes. First call is for me saying how disappointed I am that I have to wait another week to find out the disposition of this case. I don't know if you're going to accept the charges on that phone call.
No, I'll reverse the charges on that one.
Reversing the charges. Okay, we have 2 voicemails this week. I'm just going to go ahead and play them, Drew, if you want to hear them.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Hey, Comm Centers, this is Micah. I'm not doing a perimeter checks. It's too damn early. I just got off a 12-hour shift, went home literally for like 5 hours. And I'm back to do a 12-hour shift on days. And this morning bullshit, I don't even know what the fuck to do with myself. It's good to expand your horizons, work some different coverage and stuff once in a while, see how the other half lives, but just a little confused. So appreciate the messages and stuff from the Wolf Pack this morning. Got some messages from Bosco, John D, little correspondence with John. I even got a message from Drew Breezy the other day. So appreciate that stuff. It's getting me through this odd day. I may be asleep when Comm Center's actually airing. We'll see how successful I am in that endeavor. I might pop in the chats to shit talk a little bit, but I just had me thinking today that friendship is like peeing your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you feel the warmth that it brings. So, guns up, giddy up. Catch you guys at Comm Center.
Well, all I could say is that I feel the same way every morning. I wake up. Thursdays are actually the only day during the week I wake up in the morning. I go to work all day and then I come here and do this. And I work till midnight the night before. So I drive like 2 hours. So every Thursday morning I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, is this actually happening? Like, I always wake up every Thursday, wishing I hadn't, which is pretty depressing, I guess. But then when I get off work, I'm excited to do the show. So, Mike, you're in the chats now. Finally, I know how you feel working in the morning. It seems wrong. I hate being there when admin's there. Night shift is where legends are made, guys. I think everybody who works in public service, first responder, knows that.
The road meets the road.
You don't want to go to the Comm Center and see Drew Breezy walking around. That's a day killer right there. One more voicemail, Drew?
Go for it.
All right. Here we go. Here's the second one.
Long-time caller, first-time listener. See, John, Drew understands me. Quack, 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 quack.
Kill anybody lately? Mr. Bundy? Do you know the identity of this man?
Stay tuned, everyone, for the rest of this. We're going to pre-record. We'll probably end up pre-recording it. If not, we're going to give you some good content, and we're going to continue this conversation either way. We would not have been able to fully finish this anyway. I underestimated the amount of explanation. It's a 45-minute video, so I underestimated it. It's my fault, and all I'm trying to do is my impersonation of what John should be saying. I don't think I have anything else, John. What about you?
No. We'll finish the Suitcase trilogy next week. I'll be in the chats. It'll just be a live experience, even if we're not live. Good night, America. Comm Center. 100 seasons, 100 shows, most of them Suitcase shows.